as we slide into the week, I feel like a big weight is lifted off the shoulders of many people as we've been, predominantly robbed. We're not going to get into too much, but we do have a new 47th president. Donald J. Trump will be the commander-in-chief starting January for the next 4 years. What do I hope happens in the next 4 years? I hope that we bring our costs down, and I mean way, way, way down. We are all paying through the nose for everything, from wood to groceries to gas to housing. And I'm hoping, I'm praying to God we get this country back under control and its spending under control. And the wasteful spending to support other countries and to end the stinking wars. I'm not a war person. War is very profitable for our country, and I don't want to see anybody lose their life over profit. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you for all the kisses. You're a very sweet little girl. Delilah is up this morning. Listen to this. You want to hear something? I wish I would have grabbed it on camera. I ended up taking it away from her instead of grabbing it. I have never seen her do this before. She went over. I have this, potpourri thing right here, and she went over and grabbed this morning and took it to her bed and was playing with it. Yes, it's got a little dust on it, probably because it was on the floor. And she was playing with this. And I'm like, I felt like I was in the stinking Twilight Zone. And I looked down and she's playing with the American flag, and I didn't think it. I just took it and put it back in the potpourri thing. But I'm like, of all days for Delilah to grab the little American flag and take it to her bed, it was just weird. I don't know how to explain it. It was funny. I'm like, you're a smart little girl. You're smarter than I think you are, right? So housing costs are out of control. Yes, everything's out of control. Let's be honest. Everything is out of control. I know people don't necessarily like the personality of Donald J. Trump, but they voted last time trendy, and it's cost the American people a lot of money, a lot of time. I know after 4 years, many people that had a savings are broke, and I mean broke. I've heard, I've got family that's on fixed income, and hearing their, what's going on, it's hard for people, and that's what people don't understand. Yeah, it's great to have all of those, Green New Deal and all this other stuff, but nobody cares about that when they can't afford groceries, okay? Nobody cares about that when they're homeless and trying to put a roof over their child's head and looking at paying $1,800 a month when they only make $1,400 a month. That's the major divide I feel in this country is whether or not they're good arguments or not. They take a back seat to people, clothing their children and putting food on their table. And that's the problem American people and American families are facing in this country. And I think it's just it happened so quickly. It was almost like a shock to everybody's system. And it's like, whoa, we can't do this no more. It sounds great in theory, but when we start applying it and we realize how broke we are, people are like, nope, let's make a different decision. I really think that is. And like I said last night, being fair about the whole arguments and stuff like that, because let's face it, we have Democrats in our chat, we have Republicans in our chat, and we don't want to be insulting. We all believe the way we believe, and we should respect that, because I think that's what's missing in our country today, is that we're attacking people instead of coming together. There's a lot of things that we can work on together. I know on this channel it has a lot to do with crime and funding police and doing these for our children and protecting the vulnerable and the weak and stuff like that. So we need both sides in here, because these kinds of things that we need help with on a larger scale requires both parties to be involved. So we never want, but what we need to start doing is having respect for one another and quit lowering ourselves and quit lowering ourselves to insult people and demean people because of the way they vote. We have got to change that, because let's face it, if we were all Republican, we wouldn't be happy. If we were all Democrat, we wouldn't be happy. It takes both sides to really balance our arguments and stuff like that. And I think people in this country need to get that understanding. This was, in my opinion, the right vote, not just because I support Donald J. Trump. It's because I support the policies. That's what I support, is the policies, putting more money back in people's pocket, lowering taxes, getting food on the table. Those are the things that I'm subscribing to. I'm not subscribing to the tweets. I'm not subscribing to the insults. I'm subscribing to the policies. And it sounds like a lot of people in this country that have been just financially ruined are also prescribing to the same policies, and that's what we've got to do. Does he have a proven record to get these things done and to lower our costs? And the answer is yes. And I think whether you like him or hate him, a lot of people, really went to bat. And I said, I thought the downfall of the Harris campaign, just my opinion, in the Harris campaign, is the fact that they focus too much on women's rights. And let's be honest here, women's rights are very, very important to a lot of people. I'm a female myself, I don't want somebody telling me what I can and cannot do. However, I think there needs to be limits, just my personal opinion. And I think when you're dealing with a country that is getting poorer and poorer, and the people can't afford just the basic necessities for life, I think that those women's rights take a back seat. And that's what we're facing right now, is the fact that there's a lot of people out there that just can't even afford the necessities for life. That is very powerful. There are a lot of people out there that have plenty of money, no matter who's in office, are going to be just fine. But for the rest of us, the rest of us that are struggling day in and day out, is women's rights important to us? Of course it's important to us. But feeding our children, having a roof over our head, being able to afford food and medication, God forbid you need medication. Medication is ridiculously high in this country. When people are facing that, versus something that's not personally affecting them, like women's rights, that is really what I think the downfall of the Harris campaign. They should have focused, if they wanted to be closer in the running, in my opinion, they should have really focused and hit the economy and the concerns of the American people head on. But every single time, just in my opinion, I saw her, do a town hall or a debate. She played word salad when she was directly asked, what in the world, what is the economy? She always reverted back to the same old bull crap. I come from the middle class. Listen, a lot of people come from the middle class, get rich, and forget what it was like being in the middle class. Okay? That's the problem. When we look at them and they're trying to tell us they understand what we're dealing with, and we know damn well they don't, it turns people off. It turns people off. So I think her biggest weakness was failing to address the concerns of the American people. And had she tactfully, because she did get a lot of support, which is surprising to me, because again, I did not agree with the fact that she was on the ballot without having one vote casted for her. To me, that's not democratic. That is close to socialism. That's communism. Oh, well, we don't want him. Let's just replace them. This is who you guys need to vote for. I have a problem with that, but it's not my party. If the party's fine with them doing that, that's their business. I'm not associated with that or their stuff. But I think that was one of the problems right then and there, is a lot of people were upset because they didn't get to pick who they wanted to run. What if they wanted somebody else? What if they didn't want her? What if there was a better candidate that would have won? And there may have been, but they didn't give their Democratic people an opportunity to make the proper selection. That's one big thing. But when they did that, and she was winning in the polls, and people, their polls, their closed primaries and stuff like that, she started to garner a lot of support. And I was surprised about how many people started falling in line and really getting behind her. And so she was able to really come together and really pull the party together, which was quite amazing since there was so much discourse behind the scenes. But she failed on her messaging because people are struggling with real life stuff and struggling with affording real life stuff. And every time anybody asked her questions, she gave the same song and dance. I come from the middle class. I understand. No, you do not. Because let's face it, especially the older people in my chat, the people that were, back in the day, being in the situation was much more comfortable than today being in this situation. And I think that's what she's missing. Yes, you came from a middle class way, way, way back when, 40 years ago. Okay. Well, 40 years ago, middle class and today's middle class is two totally different middle classes. Because, back in the day, there was high middle class. Now there's just low middle class and poverty. That is what is facing the American people today. And I think Donald Trump capitalized on that. He heard the concerns of the people, and he worked around the clock to find solutions and to talk about those solutions, not hide behind some same song and dance that we've heard 1,000 times before. I come from the middle class and I do this. He never has ever done that. So I think that they both ran. If I had to be, just coming out and being fair, I have to say that they both ran great campaigns. I have to be honest with you. The most impressed I am is with Kamala Harris. Why am I more impressed with the campaign of Kamala Harris is again because of the things that I just listed. She did not even get one vote to be put on that ticket. And she was able to really get her party in line and behind her when they had such disgruntledness toward that process. So, quite frankly, her rising in the poll, in my opinion, if I had to be fair, was very impressive. But I also believed in the American people, and I also believed in the American people are looking at their pocketbooks more than they're looking at gender equality and things that aren't truly affecting them right now, because their pocketbook is what is affecting them. And I think that they just fell short on messaging, and had they changed their messaging, we might be sitting in a different situation here. But I'm very thankful. This was the guy that I wanted. I wake up very happy today. I know if I'm waking up very happy today, it's unfortunate that other people aren't waking up very happy today because their candidate did not win the presidency. But I do hope that everybody can start calming down. I really do hope that we can start working together. I really, what I really like more than anything in this world is stop the condemnation. We should be promoting people to be themselves, to be comfortable in their own skin. We should be promoting and understanding that there is a yin and a yang, and we have to have both in order to be successful. And because of that, we are all partnering together on both sides of the aisle in an effort to bring this country to where it should be for all of us to coexist comfortably. And if we stop insulting and demeaning and dehumanizing one another because of politics, I think this country will be a much better place. So I really want to challenge my Republican family as well as my Democratic family to let's put the axes and hammers down and the pitchforks down, and let's start figuring out how to live with one another and how to be respectful for Trump for dictator. Cheeky chops here too much. And let's really, start understanding that we can accomplish so much more together than we can apart. And we have to stop. We got to stand up and speak up when we see an injustice. Okay, guys? There is true issues going on in this country and true injustice going on in this country. And how much more powerful will it be for all of us to come together and to fight that injustice together? You know, we really need to unify. And I think that that is a messaging. You know, I want to start, you know, toning it down. I'd like to make sure that we're all respectful of, you know, at the end of the day, we're humans. Okay? Let's think about the tier. You know, there's always a structure. At the end of the day, we're human. So let's focus on the humanity of one another first. And then we'll worry about the politics later. But I think if we can just go back, you know, to loving thy neighbor, you know, the Ten Commandments. I think if we just got a little more God, I know there's some people that are atheists and all this other stuff. We want to be respectful of them too, but this is, for the most part, we are a Christian channel. You know, we do believe in God, and we do believe in the power of prayer. And we always believe in reaching out and helping. Do we get a little obnoxious? Do we get a little offensive? Am I controversial? Of course I am. But the true human being of me really does love people. That's why I do what I do. That's why I deal with all the stuff I deal with on a daily basis. So hopefully, you know, we can start getting the country back together. Hopefully cost of goods, cost of food, cost of gas, you know, I really start hoping that comes down where it helps all of us. You know, it really does help us be better parents and be able to afford that summer camp for our children, or you know, that those really nice shoes that we can't afford this year. I pray that you're going to be able to afford them next year, because those are really the issues that we're all facing. So again, guys, thank you for hanging out with me last night. We stayed up late. I was up until midnight, which, you know, I'm never up until midnight. And let's start trying to work on our, you know, we have to take, you know, self-responsibility. And we have to, even when we're faced with disgruntled people, we don't have to engage. You know, we're at the point that we need to start bringing humanity. And when we see something out of line or somebody going too far, start addressing it and saying, you know, was that necessary? Because we need to get back to arguing about the issues and not the people. We have a right to believe and think the way we believe and think, and even though we feel the way we feel, right? It doesn't give us the right to insult them for feeling the way they feel. Remember in 2016 when we were always attacked personally, had stuff thrown at us. You know, people would lose their life for wearing a Trump shirt. I mean, that, I'm glad we're away from that, but we have to remember how it felt for us going through that. You know, and do we really as human beings want to subject somebody else through that? Especially because you're like, well, they did it to me. And it's like, but that person didn't. So why are you attacking that person? They didn't do that to you. You're now doing that to them. So I'd like to you know, to see some harmony come back into this country again. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But you know, and I do believe in Americans. I do believe in unity. I do believe in, once we start bringing cost of good down and people can just have some breathing room and not be up to their neck in stress and just trying to figure out how to make ends meet, I really think that we'll see a wave of much nicer people when they're not so concerned and worried about their future. Does this mean it's going to solve all the problems? Of course not, right? We got to be realist as well. But I think right now, the goal in the right spot, the right way. Oh, thank you. God bless you, Stacy. Is just bringing some costs down so people can live comfortably. And I think that's what the people voted for, is the economy. So anyways, guys, thank you for indulging me on that. I hope I was a little, you know, I was trying to be fair with that commentary and what I really did view as the strengths and the weaknesses of both sides. And, you know, truly I was impressed with Kamala Harris's ability to really get the party together and get them behind her. I didn't think that was going to happen because I thought a lot of people were butthurt about her not, you know, getting on the ticket the right way. So they both did great. They both ran hard campaigns, and you know, the person that resonated with the people the most won. And we're going to have to respect that and respect the process. So, again, kudos to everybody that went out and voted. You got your voice heard, and you had your vote counted. So, thank you, America, right? All right, guys. So, getting on with this, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. We've been talking about this case for quite some time. We got into this case, early March, and really got started taking hold and really diving into this case around the middle of March. And we've been through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of twists and turns when it comes to the case of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And we've done a lot of behind the scenes work, front of the scenes work. We've been through hell and back over this case, and we're still here fighting hard to locate Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. What I can tell you is the partnership that Seth has with At Night and Dog the Bounty Hunter has been amazing. I've just now had the opportunity to start seeing some of their work and how they do their work, and what happens. Like, we don't get to hear the leads or how they're addressing the leads, but we get, once the lead has been verified, and it's a possibility that it could might provide a lead or a nugget of information that might help locate Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. They jump right in. There's just a lot of stuff that they do, and I'm finally getting an opportunity to see some of that. Obviously I don't get to see all of this stuff because they're obviously an organization, an intelligence organization, so confidentiality is really that in a top of mind for that company. But they work around the clock, and I don't think, because they don't publicize all the stuff they're doing behind the scenes, I don't think people realize the true gravity of the work that At Night and Dog the Bounty Hunter are doing, and it's very sad for me. Good morning, Seth. It's nice to see you. And all my mods, I see I am Team Summer in here. It's nice to see you. I didn't say good morning to everybody this morning, so good morning. So I don't think, because they don't really advertise or publicly tell you guys all the stuff they're doing, but I get to see some of the stuff that they're doing behind the scenes, some of the reports that they're sending to certain law enforcement agencies, bus stops, train stops, this stop, when they get a lead in an area, making sure that everybody knows where, what Sebastian looks like and that he's missing. It's just, a lot of people just don't see that, and they dog them thinking that they're out here just trying to, get some attention and stuff like that, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now, let's face it, I didn't know what to expect when they came into this case. I was a little hesitant, and then I had an opportunity to speak with Nick, which, again, I knew him, so at least we knew each other. I had actually sold a story to him that ended up being sold to TMZ. And so we've worked together in the past on a professional level. And I was kind of wonky because of his affiliation with Jonathan Lee Riches, and we knew how Jonathan was just really doing this case wrong. And I was hesitant because I thought they were, at the very beginning, before I talked to Nick, that they were just going to be an extension of his nonsense, and it worried me. And I think that they had an open mind coming in, and, Nick was willing to talk to me and get everything, and of course I sent him everything, and he thoroughly gave Tony and Seth, like, the umpteenth degree. You fired Kamala, get the hell out of here. Cheeky's on a roll. You're cracking me up, Cheeky. You must be in a good mood today. So, I was a little, I was a little hesitant on what to expect because, I only knew him from your content, the news organization and getting news and, stories out to the public, whether it be political, crime stories and stuff like that on their published website, and they really had a good thing. But, seeing this intelligence side of it, I was not familiar with. And seeing all the good things that they're doing, and are able to do. It's very impressive. I will be honest with you. It's very impressive, and seeing that when they do get a lead in the processes, that I don't see all the processes behind the scene, but I do see some of that. And it's like, they get these, for example, I'll just give you a hypothetical, okay? Say a lead comes in and it's for, let me just think of a state. What comes to mind? Why can't I think of a state? Why is Oklahoma coming to mind? I don't know. Probably because I was just talking to Tony this morning. Okay, so we'll use Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, okay? So say they get a call in and say it's, they're in Timbuktu, Oklahoma, and they're like, I saw so-and-so, or Sebastian Rogers, okay? I saw Sebastian Rogers. He was with two people in, I don't know, in Timbuktu. I don't know what counties or cities are in Oklahoma. Please forgive me. Timbuktu, Oklahoma, okay? And so they do their stuff behind the scenes, and they're like, okay, wait a minute. We did find this. We did see this. We did see this. You know what? Let's go ahead and reach out to the local police department. So then they make this put the flyers in, and type a little bit about the missing person. They send that over, say to, I don't know if they do it to law enforcement, but then they start reaching out to like businesses, like bus stations and stuff like that, and sending them, flyers of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers explaining that he's just disappeared from, Nowhere Land, Tennessee, okay? And they start peddling that stuff out to local businesses and trains, ports of entry into that place, or places that you can like mass transportation type things. So I think people don't realize the wealth of information and their ability to help find Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and the work that they're doing behind the scenes. I know you guys aren't really watching what they're doing because they're not really public about everything they're doing, because they're an intelligence agent, okay? So an intelligent agency doesn't broadcast their work, okay? It just doesn't. And while I don't want to go through a whole bunch of stuff, I just wanted to promote that you guys, they really are working extremely hard, and they're very dedicated to the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. You can tell that every single person that works there wants nothing more than to locate this boy and reunite him with his father, healthy and well. They're still very optimistic. I've been following this case from, again, the beginning of March, and really jumped in about the middle of March. And so, I'd love to have the optimism that they have. It's just that I've got my own battle scars from this case, and it's unfortunate, but I'm just not that optimistic. So I want hope, but it's, when you look at the case as a whole, and you look at all the behaviors that we've exhibited, it just tells me deep in my gut that something isn't right here. Deep in my gut, I look, because we deal with so many parents, and not parents of just missing children. I mean, think of it. We dealt with like the Idaho 4 and people that their children, they had nothing to do with anything. Their children were in college and were brutally murdered. We deal with so many parents, and we deal with so much grief, and we deal with so many, even though each parent grieves differently, they're still grieving, and they have an urgency to find out what happened, whether their child is missing, their child was murdered, or their family member was murdered. They have an urgency to find out what happened and to seek justice. And those are the elements that are missing in this case from the family that saw this child the most. That's what's lacking for many of us, is that we've seen the grieving parents. We've seen grieving parents grieve much differently from, Riley Strain's mom that's just a face full of tears, to Steve Gonzalez that's just angry and wants justice for his daughter and wants to fight, just like Daniel for his daughter Daniela. We see different people, and we see them grieving different ways, and it's not all crying and emotion. But we're not seeing any of that in a portion of this case where it should be, predominantly with a mom. A mom is usually the driving force. She takes no for an she doesn't take no for an answer. She takes that ball and runs it and keeps on law enforcement, and just they're not doing enough. If they could just do more, if they could just do more. And we're not getting that. We're getting, well, you know, there's other people and we understand they've dedicated enough time to this case and have to move on. I have never in my life heard a parent okay with that, because at the end of the day, their child is the most important, and that's all they care about. Not that they don't care about other people, but they want all 100 agents on their case and their case alone, despite other people. Figure it out. It's never enough. And so the urgency, I think, is just as equally concerning, or the lack of urgency rather, is just as equally concerning as the lack of emotion for many of us. Because again, I'm going to state it very clearly, we all grieve differently. But the point is, we all grieve. And grief can be a number of things. Grief can be anger. Grief can be disbelief. Grief can be begging it's not true. Grief can be getting up and fighting like you've never fought before and doing things you've never thought you'd ever do before. Grief is different from person to person, but at the end of the day, it's still grieving. And that's the problem that has been problematic personally for me, studying this case, looking into this case, investigating this case, going through all of the interviews and seeing the behavior and listening to the voice. And it sounded like the first interview you got a little emotion but no face. They wouldn't put their face on camera. Then you've got the interview with mainstream media, WSMV, and that was really telling because they couldn't keep the facial expression. It just wasn't. There's just something about that interview. It just didn't seem right to us. It just didn't seem right to us. The laughing, the biting of the tongue, the stuttering, the not, being of disbelief of what do I want to tell my son? It's just like it for the normal people out there, we're like, huh? Like that green shirt interview. She's asked one question and she starts laughing and covering her face with her napkin. It's like, I don't know. I get worried about having an opinion because, the county likes to arrest people that have opinions, that look into this case. I find it awfully funny that you have 15 other creators that can go buy a house, go buy their job, go buy the campsite, and it's okay for them to do it, but for some reason, when Bullhorn Betty does it, it's stalking and requires a PO. Well, you know what? You can't stop everybody. I'm not there. I'm in Florida. And so I hope Sumner County gets a message, because I still want Silver's on the scene to continue to investigate this, because I can't. And I want to make sure when I go back in there, if they touch me, there's going to be hell to pay, because I don't break the law. And what they're doing is violating the law. And they're restricting me. And so I have some problems. I have some problems with that, because I wake up every morning believing I'm in America and not in communist China. And when I think of Sumner County, it's hard for me, in my experience, not to look at them as a communist county that likes to dictate and control people's free speech, freedom of the press, and the right to freely assemble peacefully. So I've been having some problems, but we have some information. Where is it? And we also have the neighbor. We've been focusing heavily on the interviews that we have because that's the public information I have access to. And good God, not allowed to be an investigative journalist, and I might be putting some of their local news out of business. So, I can't. I'm not allowed. I'm the only person in the free world that's not allowed to do investigative journalistic work on this case. The only person. That's fair. Just saying. But we're not getting that from their local news. We're not getting these interviews where they're trying to find the truth. We're not getting that. They're fine with the status quo like every other stinking person in that county. They don't care if rights are violated because, that's just how we do things here. It's either right or it's wrong. Okay? The status quo needs to be challenged in that county. And that's exactly what we're doing. But mainstream media is not trying to find people with information like they once did. Back in the 90s, they'd be knocking on every single neighbor's door just to try to get that insight. Not this day and age with our news. Even though nothing's changed in our Constitution about the freedom of press, our press has decided not to be free anymore. Which allows people like me, if you've noticed, people are getting their news from social media. Why? Because we bring the information that they are being constrained from bringing. Real journalism in mainstream media, in my opinion, has gone to the wayside. It feels like it's dead. So what is social media and alternative media doing? We're bringing the truth. We're bringing the interviews. We don't mind stepping on toes like media once did. And so this is no different. This is an interview with Miss Bobby. I think we need to hear it again. I'm going to try to, rush around a little bit. I don't want to hear the whole thing, but we're going to listen to it. We're going to watch it because we need to hear what the neighbors said happened. So buckle up, guys. We're going to be here for just a little bit, and then I will relieve you, and you guys can be on with your day.
JLR Investigates coming.
Yeah.
Bring her right in right now.
The X.
We're going to talk to a neighbor of Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. So she pops in.
Sorry, not sorry. The X.
Welcome aboard, Miss Bobby. Nice to see you.
That's all I'm going to do for them.
Well, thank you for coming on JLR Investigates. A lot of people are in the chat because
There we go.
Really
I fixed it.
Miss Bobby.
Now you're gonna make me want to run. Well, I've kind of kept myself. We're all kind of hidden.
Yeah, I mean, you're active in the Sebastian groups. You do talk, you do share, you share a lot of insight. You've been there from day one, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I was in your group from day one. I was in another group
Don't go to his group because his group has completely went communist. If you have any type of other opinion besides the one that they hold, you will be kicked out. All they want is nasty, unruly people that talk a lot of mad cash shit and insult people from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. And they built their Facebook off of Seth Rogers and then took it to use it as a weapon against Seth Rogers. They're a disgusting group. This man that's giving this interview is a disgusting and vile human being. He does a lot of dirty shit behind the scenes while keeping that smiling face in front of the scenes. And he plays his audience more than anybody else. So I'm just saying, I know the man because I dated the man for 2 years. And I know how manipulative and condescending this SOB is. Just saying, not playing.
Honestly, day one was such a trauma, just dramatic day that I don't even think, the only thing I was in on day one was our neighborhood group, because that's where Katie had first commented about him being gone. So no, actually I wasn't in any Facebook groups day one. It was such a crazy moment. So probably...
Yeah, when you say Katie commented, what do you mean by that? He joined a neighborhood group?
Well, So I'm an admin of our private neighborhood group, and she created a post, I want to say around, I would say 7:30 maybe-ish, 7:30 that morning, Monday morning, simply just saying, my son is missing. And kind of commented on a little bit about him. Like, I think she made the comment about how tall he was, and that he was autistic and he was missing. Please check your cameras. It was just like a 2-liner, just real quick, shooting it out there.
So like maybe like an hour and a half, hour something after she and Chris that we found out that they called and reported Sebastian missing.
Correct. It was, yes, because I think that from what I understood, she called around 6:30 that morning, I think. Was it about 6:30, I think is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it was.
And in my head, you guys might actually think I'm from.
That she actually caught her SUV leaving the neighborhood right before that, or right after that.
Let's listen to that again, because this talks about when she left the neighborhood.
That she actually caught her SUV leaving the neighborhood right before that, or right after that. And so it was, she did all that and then came back, and then I guess that's when she put it on the Facebook page. But I also remember what I thought was very odd was shortly before that, another neighbor. So if their house is here, if you're going up Stafford, a little bit farther up Stafford, was actually the first one to ask, hey, what's all going on in the neighborhood? Because my older son left to go to work that morning approximately 8 o'clock, and there was already police all up and down Stafford, like just covering it. And they were already out walking around and stuff. And so I don't know, I guess she saw some of that traffic as she was leaving to go to work, and she posted first on the Facebook page, and then Katie after that is when she posted, and I went back to find that, and that previous neighbor deleted her post.
What about Katie's post?
I don't know. No, the original post, the first post.
Yeah. It's no longer there.
It's gone. She had deleted it because you can't, if you're not the creator of the post, you can't delete someone else's post. They have to delete it. But when I went back a couple weeks after everything happened and things kind of calmed down a little bit, I was talking to somebody else, and I was like, I remember, didn't such and such make the post first, and this is a neighbor down the street from me, and she said, yeah, I remember that. And I was like, I wonder what the time frame was different, and I went back to look, and it was gone. So the original neighbor that very first posted asking what was all the commotion going on, and I still wonder if that's why Katie posted that. But then it was like 2 or 3 neighbors after, so Katie posted her comment or her post, and then several people commented after. I didn't see anything. She was asking, like, everybody check their cameras. I didn't see anything, and then Chris posted underneath that and simply said something like, yeah, my son's missing. That was it.
So what, did it say like where the post was originating from, or was Chris around the neighborhood by then?
Okay, so I have twins, and when we first heard about everything, they jumped up and went running out of the house and went across the street down to where they live, and they walked over because they wanted to be a part of helping, look for him, and they went over there, and Chris was not there yet. So Seth was in 8:30.
8:30, okay.
8:20-ish, yeah, because my oldest son had already left for work. He left about 8.
So we know that Seth was there by about 8:20, 8:30 in the morning, just to give you guys some context.
Then my twins, when I got the phone call from the neighbor very nearby them, that is a good friend of mine, about 8:15, 8:20 that morning, asking if I had heard what had happened, and I had not yet because I hadn't gotten going for the day yet. And then when my son texted me, I didn't answer, so he called my other boy's phone and asked did y'all see what's going on? And they came around my room and said, hey, Mom, did you hear what happened? I was like, wait, what? What's going on? My phone's ringing. You guys are ringing here. Like, what is happening here? And my neighbor was on the phone calling me. And so as soon as I heard the neighbor tell me the story, what happened, they went running out the door and went over there to kind of help, with the search and stuff. And they said that they saw Seth and Katie in the front yard and of course they didn't know the names back then. They just knew, like, now that they've seen pictures, they go back and say, yeah, it was Seth and Katie and Kathy Bowerstocks and a bunch of other police,
That's important because we had later, like about a month or two ago, the step-grandma, thank you, it's me, Jen. The step-grandma said she didn't arrive to the house until, sorry, the light's starting to come in on the windows, so it's starting to become harder to see. Let me see if I can point this down. There we go. But there was a post that the grandmother didn't get there until 10:30 in the morning. And we all knew up to that point, she was one of the first people that had arrived at that house that day, before anybody else. Obviously the police and stuff like that, we don't know specific when she arrived, but she was there before any other family member had shown up, such as Seth.
Law enforcement and stuff like that. But Chris was not there yet.
Interesting.
Well, he wasn't there then.
Now, where do you live relative to the Proudfoots?
I live at the very top of the hill on Kellen.
So the next street, the street that turns into Stafford.
The main street.
Main street coming in. So just basically what you're now going back to Katie, like what you know or what you heard. When was Katie driving around in her SUV? Like a time frame? Like when do you think she was driving around her SUV looking for passion, like she claims?
Right. So there's so many different things here because the neighbor that I actually spoke with, that I'm friends with, she's the one that has the camera on the corner of Stafford and Kellen, and I'm not going to mention her name, but she's the one that the camera footage got leaked without her knowledge and her permission that everybody has seen, but I've directly spoken with her. And then I also have directly spoken with a couple other neighbors that live very close to the Proudfoot's house. And
let me just read these real quick. We'll stop it right there just for a second. Sorry, guys. So, oh, wow. Lady 7 Up, 11 months, says, I love you, Betty. You are the best. Melanie, thank you. God bless you for the heart. Stacy says, much love, Betty. Trump 2024. Yeah, baby. We got It's Me, Jen, reminding us Sebastian Rogers, missing 15-year-old white male, 5'5", 120 pounds. Please call 1-800-TBI-FIND if you have any information. Thank you so much for that. Let me give you a little. We got It's Me, Jen, saying you're number, thank you. You're number 1. Texas Cowgirl Up says, keep being amazing, BHB. I'm proud to be a part of the coffee club. Keep doing great work. Justice for Sebastian. Clear Seth's name. Bring Sebastian home. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Okay.
And the neighbor that I spoke with the very first time that morning, she said that when she was taking her kids to school,
this is
Katie
important.
Was already back from looking. She had just gotten back from looking. And the kids have to be in school at 7:30. And so she normally leaves the house at 7 to take her kids to school. But Katie was already back and in the front yard and all the cops and stuff were there. So
we have to take some other information. Let's just take this information that we know to be true. We know that factual information, the call came in at 6:33. After the conversation, so they'll have to say who they are, give the description of the child, what kind of incident it is, what do they need, all of this stuff. And then we also heard that within 10 minutes, the cavalry had shown up. Now, this is statements from them, so I know we've caught them in a lot of misinformation and downright lies. So it's up to each and every one of you whether you believe that timeline or not. But within 10 minutes, and you're hearing, according to one of the statements made, I can't remember on which interview, that they said, the stepfather said, all right, you need to go home, they're going to meet you at the house, or something to that effect. I can't remember verbatim what it was, it's been a little minute. So we could deduct 10 minutes from 3:33 or 3:35. It's around, or excuse me, 6:33. 10 minutes. You know, you got to think about, it's going to take at least 2 or 3 minutes to give them the information to tell law enforcement what services you need. So, with that being said, the services that they would need was a missing child, a runaway child. Within 10 minutes, the cavalry showed up. So you're looking right about 6:45 to 6:50 when the cavalry showed up. This person left their house around 7. So it sounds like the mom would have been outside for approximately 10 minutes when the neighbor showed up. I just wanted to put that into perspective just a little bit. I'm backing up 20 seconds so we can hear it all over again, but I just wanted to put the factual information as we know it from the mom and the stepfather and what they've said in commentary, public commentary on social media.
She said that when she was taking her kids to school, Katie was already back from looking. She had just gotten back from looking, and the kids have to be in school at 7:30. And so she normally leaves the house at 7 to take her kids to school. But Katie was already back and in the front yard, and all the cops and stuff were there. So she stopped for a minute to talk to her, took her to school. My neighbor that had the camera footage told me that her timeline is not working correctly. But when she puts it all together with the sunrise and then the bus coming through and all of that, she said it was approximately about 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:20. It was right in between, supposedly when she discovered him missing. Supposedly she gets up, she runs around the house, she gets dressed, and she drives out of the neighborhood and that kind of thing and goes looking for him. But I know the neighbor next, if you're looking at the Prophet's house on the left, when she went running out of her house hysterical, the neighbor next to her was already out. You know, of course, everybody's getting up, getting ready for work, getting kids ready for school. Bus comes 6:45, 6:50-ish. 6:45, 6:50. It's been a long time since my kids have ridden the bus, so I have to really think about that one. But it's definitely before 7 because the kids have to be in school in class by 7:30. And we're the last pick up before he actually goes to school because we're right next to the school. So, you know, everybody was getting up and getting ready for work and everything. So she actually saw her out, and she asked her what was going on, and she told her. And so she actually walked around the house and was helping her look around the house. So she was already back from looking around 7.
Interesting. When she left to go look for Sebastian, I know that if you turn right going out of the Prophet, you go up the top of the hill, it's a cul-de-sac, or you go around and you can go up your street all the way at the back where the construction is. Did she, before she ventured out of the neighborhood, did she go up those roads? Do you know of the look?
Did she go up my road?
Your road or her road itself to the top of the cul-de-sac? You know, where
the only thing I was... Right. So the only thing I was told, of course, nobody in my house was up or out yet, so I can't verify that because we weren't out yet. But the neighbor that told me that she saw her SUV drive across her driveway saw her leave.
Like
so that's right.
That's interesting. So you would think that maybe stay in the neighborhood a little bit and go up and down your own streets. Look at
that was when she went to the school, thinking that he had walked to the school on his own, which I don't know why. He's never done that before. So why would he do that? I mean, like, why would he just walk to school by himself? Plus, he had no shoes on, supposedly. So, like, why would he walk to school by himself? So, but that's what I was told, that she actually walked around her house outside, didn't find him, so she got in her car and drove to the school.
And was back by 7. Around that time.
At least actually before that.
Yeah. Does Sebastian, did he school, or did Katie take him in her car?
From what the neighbors, of course, camera said that there is a special bus that comes for certain kids that have special needs and whatever. And she said, I don't think he gets on that bus. I think he gets on the other bus. So that was what I was told. I can't verify that, so I can't answer that appropriately.
Gotcha. So we're talking all law enforcement, all there, starting to descend onto the area, 8 a.m.-ish, right? 8 a.m.-ish.
Well, they were there before that. They were already there, and cars parked. By the time when my son went to work at 8, they were already there and already clumped up together and starting to talk because they were already in the front yard talking to them. So they were, I don't know I mean, I would say probably, it was even before, I mean, they were probably there. I'm trying to remember what she said. When she got ready to leave, she never said anything. The neighbor that called me and told me about it never mentioned law enforcement being there. She just said that Katie was outside walking around, upset and everything, and she asked her, like, what's going on? But she didn't specify if there were law enforcement there. But they were already there and out of their cars and in the front yard at 8 o'clock, so they had to have been there before that.
Gotcha. Any idea when Seth got there?
No, but I do know that he was there by the time my kids went over there, like I said, which was about 8:30. He was already there. And I also know that his truck was there, like, off and on the whole time.
Gotcha.
I don't know what time exactly.
So what happens, just explain to everybody then, what did law enforcement do at that point, like throughout the morning? Once they all arrived there, did more and more law enforcement come, or was there
I told my neighbor down the street, I said, I didn't even know we had these agencies. I mean, like, I've never in my life ever seen such a response. It was overwhelming. It was like, it kind of freaked me out. Like, oh my God, I feel like I'm living in a real life.
Somebody could pack that up just a little bit. Okay, I'll back it up 10 seconds because that's another thing that I think shocked and awed, because I think because of my personal theory about what happened in this case, and it's based upon information gathering and how I came to my conclusion for me, and pending new information coming forward. It's kind of interesting because Seth was there so early. He received the call. He didn't leave work until about 7:20. It takes about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to get from his job to there. He got there. He was there around 8:30 when this person saw them. It's law enforcement was everywhere, and I think that is what was not expected. I think that in their mind, they figured they were going to report this boy as a runaway. They were just going to take a report, and it was going to be all over, all done and over with. They were going to do their internal stuff, and that was that. But that wasn't the case. They did an all-out manhunt for this autistic boy, and I think that's what wasn't. I think that was the one ingredient that this family was not expecting, in my position and in my theory and opinion, that this was just supposed to be some officer coming over there and just taking a report and it going into a file somewhere, no big deal. But the problem is this boy was autistic. He had medical needs, which heightened the alert and the alarm from law enforcement, and it caused a huge wealth of people and these organizations, that these law enforcement bodies that they didn't even know about, coming out and really making a push to find this young man.
I've never in my life ever seen such a response. It was overwhelming. It was like, it kind of freaked me out. Like, oh my God, I feel like I'm living in a real life like drama crime scene. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. The very first that came out was the sheriff's department, because we live in a county, so sheriff's department respond first because we're not part of the city, so they came out first.
Anybody that lives in the county knows that. Give me just a second. I gotta see who this is. Oh man, I've already got my people calling. That's who it was. One of my political people calling. I'm sure I know what they were calling about.
They literally walked all up and down and around and everything, and then they came door to door and asked everybody, who all had cameras and whatnot. What did you see? What do you know? Whatever. And then it was, now of course I'm having to really go back in my head. It's been a little while. It was later on that afternoon. They brought some dogs in, and they started walking around. They came around the houses and asked everybody to walk around their own property, look underneath stuff, in anything that's unlocked. So all of us up and down my street, everybody, my neighbors came out with me. She and I walked together, walked all up and down our yards, all across the street, up and through the cul-de-sac, down the street a little bit. There's a barbed wire fence behind us as of right now where the new construction is, so you can't get over that, but we can walk around it. And so we both walked up and around that, just looked everywhere that was kind of close by. And then I noticed that they had the drones up. And of course the news was short. That was Tuesday. The news came out. It was flying the helicopter around. It was chaotic. It was absolutely chaotic.
Did you see Seth and Katie out there looking? No.
Not in our neighborhood. Never.
Never seen them walk around.
No. They were in their yard out, but never left their property. No. And I know for a fact because, so Monday my kids were out with law enforcement, because at that point it was, we need all the neighbors come out, help us, look everywhere, whatever. So they were open to everybody coming out and help. So at that point, my kids jumped into one of those razor things and drove all up and through the property and stuff. And then my other one walked with the canine unit in the construction zone. He walked all the way through that. They literally, I had to call him at one point in time and tell him, y'all need to come home and have lunch. I mean, this is crazy. I know you want to help, but you got to come home and eat. And so then they came home, they ate, and then they went back out there, and they were out there with them all day Monday, all day Tuesday. And then, so Tuesday we had SWAT. That was the day we had the vigil. And it was interesting because we put out a post on the neighborhood group that we're having a vigil, and everybody's invited, but we wanted to be just the neighborhood only because we wanted it to be a private vigil just for our neighborhood and for the family. We were hoping if we made it more personal like that the family would come and they would be overwhelmed with all this. That was the other thing. Good God, the traffic. The second that it got out, we had tons of people just driving up and down the street. Just looking and watching. I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do to help. We're flooded already with police.
I don't know what to do. We can't put nothing.
Are going to do. I mean, it was chaotic as it was anyway. And now you got all these extra people coming out there, so it just got so chaotic. But so Tuesday night we planned the vigil. Went down there, got in a big circle, introducing everybody, and there's neighbors. I don't want to get too personal here. There are neighbors. Actually, we have two, maybe three sets of neighbors that are in law enforcement. They're in different counties. One of them is actually a part of Hendersonville Police, and then the other two are from other counties. They came to the vigil. And matter of fact, the one that is part of Hendersonville has been in a neighborhood since almost the beginning. Know them very well, good people. And he was down there with a flashlight because we had so many people driving up and down and around and circling and going up and down and circling and coming back and forth. And we're just like, good grief. The Proudfoot sent, I don't know who it was, but they came down and and they introduce themselves as aunt and uncle. Don't have a
Aunt and uncle?
presence. Apparently, I don't know if it was somebody's brother, or that's what they introduced themselves as. We are, maybe it was Sebastian's aunt and uncle.
Chris and Katie
That's what it was.
Chris and Katie said they were their aunt and uncle.
Well, it wasn't, Chris and Katie didn't come. They sent family members, and when they introduced themselves as, we're aunts and uncles.
Why
So I
did
guess Sebastian's aunt and uncle?
Why didn't Chris? Did Seth go?
No.
Interesting,
So
Karen.
no Seth, no Profits. They basically sent their own representatives, family members that claim
Yes.
they ran.
That's correct. Yes.
Well, we also know that Seth was out there looking for his son that day as well. He was driving around. He was at the command center. We definitely have that because he was thrown out of the command center for looking at one of their
Two questions back on
their
the
computers.
first day. When did you know that Chris arrived home?
I did not, because I didn't know. I had never met them. They moved in and nobody knew them. Like, I still don't know anybody that really knows them. Like, nobody ever really knew them. And so
When did they move in? Do you know?
I think, well, so apparently it was a year and a half ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they just saved to themselves, and
Well, Melanie-
nobody really even knew them. I didn't even know that the original owners sold their.
Melanie, if you get that together and you'd like to share it with me, I'd greatly like to see it. So, yeah. Send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com if you can. Sorry for the glare, guys. The sun's starting to shine.
House, and not because we don't, our neighborhood is just a real quiet neighborhood. Everybody kind of stays to themselves, except for, if you need something, or if a dog, a pet gets out, or if somebody goes on vacation, hey, will you watch my house, that kind of thing. But we don't really, unfortunately, I think everybody's just have busy lives and stuff, and we just don't know. I mean, like, each neighbor knows the neighbor next to them. Like, I know all the neighbors around me, and I know a lot of their original neighbors that were there from day one, but I don't know the ones that have moved in over the past 5 years. And I think with COVID, that kind of messed everything up too.
Gotcha. Somebody put in the chat, what time does the trash get picked up in the morning?
That is the biggest misconception. Here we go with the whole light thing, right? This is where we're going. So,
One more thing first. The very first day, the dogs. You saw dogs out there.
oh yes,
Did you see
absolutely.
them going a specific direction or area? Did you see them centered around a certain area, or did they pick up any scent?
Okay, so there was no scent that was picked up from their house to anywhere. However, and my kids were with the handler and the canine, and actually watched. He followed them all through the construction zone. And one of my kids actually saw one of the dogs take the handler to one of the retention ponds. And not only did he go to the retention pond, he ran to it and jumped in it.
Thank you,
And
Melanie.
the handler had to go and get him and take him out of the water and then dry him off. And my son looked over the handler and said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like that before." He looked at me and he said, "He's never done that before."
Wow.
And my son said, "Why did he just jump in that?" He said he was following a scent. And then the other,
On that, did they go in the water? Did they stake scuba divers or anything in there?
supposedly when I told Seth that when I met him at the most recent vigil, he said they drained the pond twice and nothing. But not only did I see that, but when on day 3, I think it was Wednesday, when National Guard came through and they had their dogs. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know.
National Guards. I just wanted to throw that out there. National Guards. This is the stuff that we haven't reviewed this video in some time, so I thought this was great for today to remind us of the information that was going on the ground that morning. So, pointer lover, I disagree with that. I think you are you have misinformation. The president has no control over prices. They absolutely do have control over prices. Let me just kind of bring this back to, we'll stop right here and just let me address that real quick. For example, when you shut down our oil and our gas in our country and force us to buy, not that we're not using any less oil or gas, but you force us to buy overseas, that drives up the prices. Venezuela has some of the thickest oil, and so it takes a lot of refinery, which costs more, even more money for that oil, driving up prices. However, when you turn our oil and crude back on, our prices go down. That's absolutely 100% in control of the president. Why is that important? Why is the gas so important? Because it controls the price of our produce. It controls the price of our goods for our home. Everything has to be shipped here from plane, boat, or truck. So land, sea, and air. Okay? And so when you have, say, gas that's gone up 2/3 of what it was 4 years ago, you're adding 2/3 of the price back onto the goods. So that's a misconception many people have. It is absolutely in the control of the president and the policies and the agreements that they make for this stuff. So please understand, the president absolutely has 100% control of the pricing. And if you don't believe me, watch how quickly the pricing starts going down now that we have a new president. Then you can come back to me and say that the president has nothing to do with the price. I totally disagree, and those are the reasons why I disagree. Because when we have our gas prices come back to a reasonable level, you're going to start finding our produce is being reduced. Our goods, our home goods are being reduced. The luxury items that we want are going to be reduced. Why? And it's just simply just one aspect, and that's just the gas, the cost of gas alone. Now you start reducing the cost of other things. Now you're reducing the cost on businesses. Now businesses have a little extra money to employ an additional worker and give that additional worker benefits. So you have a lot of misconceptions, and I understand, but absolutely the president does control pricing in our country, just like the rulers of other countries absolutely control the pricing in their country as well. So I hope that explains it to you. If you don't believe me, please fact find it, because we're about to start seeing some prices come down, and it's going to be kind of funny that if the president controls none of the pricing, how is it going to be when we get a new president? Pricing starts to improve. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, but thank you for your comment. I hope I helped explain it, and you might want to look it up so you don't have to take Bullhorn Betty's word. But God bless you. Have a great day, and rock it out with your coffee beans out. Grab a cup of coffee. Be happy.
And on day 3, I think it was Wednesday, when National Guard came through and they had their dogs. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They were all up and down the neighborhood. That's why whenever I said, the police aren't doing enough, I have some of my own personal thoughts about that, but I will tell you right now, we had the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, we had Hendersonville Police, we had state troopers, we had National Guard, we had drones, we had helicopters, we had canines, we had 2 sets of different canines, and the National Guard brought theirs. So we were flooded. Okay, so back to the whole dog.
Let's do the trash, because the trash is what everyone is curious about. The time the trash picks up, and then in reference to the lights, we're going to talk about the 3 a.m., 3:10 a.m. lights. Let's talk about the trash. What do you know?
So our trash gets picked up by J.E. McMurtry Disposal. Has for many, many, many years. They used to, a few years back, they would pick up around 6:30ish, but then the bus was coming through, and it was making it hard for them to come through with the bus, and all the kids were out, and it was just chaotic. So they switched it, and now they go down my street about 5:30, 5-ish, between 5:15.
So we have confirmed that it sounds like the garbage truck comes before the school bus. This is important. So 5:45 is when they guesstimate that the trash truck comes through on Monday. I think that's important.
5:20, something like that. Every Monday morning. That's going down my hill, though. That's not when they come in and they're going around it. That's when they're coming back down. So, yeah.
I mean, that's an extra, 20? Now, how long does it take for the trash truck guy to go through the whole entire day?
And the other misconception is a lot of people are saying that they have to hand dump the trash bin in there. They don't. It's a new truck. They have an arm, and it does it for them. So that was another thing. Where they're having to pick up these big, no, they're not. They have that arm. They roll it over to the arm, connect it to the arm, and they dump it in. You can hear it. I mean, it's not quiet. It's loud. I mean, you can hear the arm doing all that. So by the time they collect the trash coming up the street, though, not going down it. They're collecting it as they come up. So I guess they're probably in the neighborhood just like around 5.
5 a.m.
And they're out of there before the buses come.
Yes.
Or the bus come, or the
Absolutely.
You said buses. Where's the trash go?
Oh, it gets dumped in either Nashville or Gallatin. If Nashville is full, they'll temporarily dump it to Gallatin. And then once, I guess, Nashville gets, whatever, then they'll transport to Nashville. The big misconception was that the neighborhood behind us, they get picked up by a different company on Tuesdays. So that's a whole different thing.
So just to let you know, they were there. Law enforcement was there Monday to search for this boy, and their trash was picked up before they were called. And that gets dumped in either Nashville or Gallatin. So many people are scratching their heads. Well, why in the world were they searching a landfill in Kentucky? And how did they get the search warrant to do so? Well, she's going to answer that. We all know that now we know it's the construction site that's dumped over in Kentucky. The construction site. So what was in the construction site that made them feel that this Kentucky landfill search was warranted? And what type of probable cause did they have to get the search warrant? Very interesting stuff. We don't have the answer to that, by the way. It's just the questions that we have.
That construction development you're talking about?
Well, that was the dumpster that everybody was asking about. How is it possible that, whatever, that the dog hit over there as well? The second dog that was out walking hit also by the trash dumpster. And the trash dumpster owner found that out when law enforcement told him that we got a hit by the dumpster. The owner of the dumpster called them back and said, okay, we dumped our trash on this certain day, Tuesday, whatever, on that certain day in Kentucky. So you guys need to go and get a warrant, obviously. And he gave them permission to go search the Kentucky dumpster or landfill. So that's why they went to Kentucky. And then I was told that they also checked Gallatin and Nashville as well.
That night, Katie claims the night of the 25th that Sebastian takes the trash out after they arrive home from going out to dinner. Go ahead. There's
no specific footage of that. The neighbor that has the Ring door camera that saw that, she said to me on the phone that the only thing you can see is a silhouette. She said you cannot see a physical person. There is absolutely no physical proof of Sebastian being at their house that night after dinner.
So this is the neighbors all talking, them doing kind of their own investigation within the neighborhood and finding out that, it doesn't seem, there you go, just making her debut. It doesn't seem probable that it may not have been Sebastian that took out the garbage, is what I'm understanding here.
Nothing. There's her car coming home. My neighbor did tell me that she saw her car come, but she parks in the garage, so nobody saw him get out of the car.
What time was that? I always want to know what time she arrived home.
I asked, and she said that it was so dark that she couldn't really see. She saw about 6 6 or so, I think is what she said, ish, because they went to dinner at Texas and then supposedly came home, and then her car came into the driveway around 6, and then somebody pulled the trash bin out, after that.
I think she's off. I think she's off because I believe we have confirmation that the film, I'll have to ask Seth again, but I think the film was around that they saw them leaving the Texas Roadhouse, and I'm going off memory, do your own research, was around 6:30. So I had estimated about 6:40, 6:45 with them pulling into the drive, but we need to probably confirm that information at some point, or it probably already is confirmed somewhere, just need to find it on a public platform.
Wait a minute. Any neighbor, including yourself, or because you don't talk, the neighbors talked to everybody and said there's nothing to indicate that he was home that night. He got home that night.
There's no proof of that. Nobody ever saw him come home, or really, I mean, I don't even know if anybody can say they saw him leave with her. I mean, I don't think anybody actually looked back that far. It was so chaotic at the very beginning. I think the police were so focused on a runaway teen that was what everybody was focused on. So when they first asked to look at their video,
I agree with that. And I think that was one of the most devastating blows to the case, is that they didn't think anything outside of he ran away. They looked at these folks. Most of them know who those folks are. They see their beautiful, nice house in a very expensive upper class, or upper middle class community. And I think the idea of anything other than this child walking out just never crossed anybody's mind. And I think that was the most devastating blow to this case, because I think that some of the evidence collection and gathering was hindered because of that misconception. Now, this is Miss Bobby's interview. We're at 29:07. We're going to pick this up later this afternoon. But for this section of the Bullhorn Betty channel, we're going to leave it here. I'm going to let it go just for a few more minutes to see if there's any other talking points for this segment we're going to do. And then we're going to come back and finish the rest of Miss Bobby's interview, probably around, I would say, either noon or 2. One or the other. We will be back. I think 2 o'clock is going to be the last. I've got some things to do this tonight, so I may be back around 8. I don't know. We'll see. But I've just got some errands that need to be had today that I've got to get done today. So anyways, guys, let's just play it, see if we can find any other information, and then we're going to close the chat down and the channel down until 12 or 2. It's going to be one or the other. So if you guys have not subbed up to this channel, please consider doing so.
Cameras, I think everybody was checking actual him walking out, but there's no proof of him physically walking out. And then it was, okay, are there any cars around there? And so going back to the whole light thing, I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street.
Okay, we are going to listen to this one. Hold on. Here's the nighttime video.
Cameras. I think everybody was checking actual him walking out, but there's no proof of him physically walking out. And then it was, okay, are there any cars around there? And so going back to the whole light thing, I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street facing the entrance, somewhere around 3:30 or so, and then the flashlights were actually seen on the neighbor's camera, 2 separate flashlights walking in between the yards, which the trash truck does not do. They don't need to. All of the trash is at the curb. They have never, ever gone. Matter of fact, when you sign up for services, they tell you in the email the rules and regulations. If your trash is not by the curb, they don't take it. Unless, you're an elderly person, you ask them. If your trash is like in the front of your house and you ask them, they'll come and get it like that, but they won't come around the back or in between houses. That's bull malarkey. That is not how that works.
No track. You don't believe that those 3:10 a.m. a.m. lights were around 3:10 after 3 a.m. were trash truck lights.
Not only do I not believe it, but the neighbor that has the actual footage swore up and down that there are two different circumstances. There was the car with the lights coming towards the car backed up on Kellen and left, and then about 2-ish hours, hour and a half, hour 42 something, like she said, the time stamp on the video is not working, it is stuck. She said, but you can...
Hour and 42 minutes later, listen to what she's going to say.
Tell, because it's pitch black dark, in the middle of the night, when the car comes down the street, turns onto Stafford, sits there for about 3 to 5 minutes, the flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. Backs up Kellen and leaves. And then 2 or so hours later, as the sun is just beginning to come up, you can see the trash truck. And she said, but the trash truck goes past her driveway. She said, you can see the trash truck and the lights and the back of the truck go past her driveway, go up the hill, do its business, turn around, come back down, and then within a few minutes later, the sun is coming up, and then you can see Katie's car leave, Katie's car coming back, and then you can see all the police come in. She said it's very obvious. So I asked her why.
So we'll pick it up. We'll reiterate. We'll start our live this afternoon of hearing that again. So that gives you a good idea why everybody are up in arms about the allegation that this was a mere trash truck, because the people that have the camera footage know exactly what they saw, and the people with the camera footage say an hour and 43 minutes to 2 hours later, 2 hours after seeing these lights that Nick Barris brought to the world, go to a vehicle, and then this vehicle leave, and then we know that one light went back to the house. This is very problematic. This is definitely evidence that is going to be used somewhere. This definitely shows some abnormal behavior and abnormal activity around a house where a 15-year-old autistic boy ultimately disappeared from during that very specific time frame of midnight to 6 a.m. This happening between 3 and 4 a.m. right in the middle of that block of time. So is this related? Yes. I don't need law enforcement telling me that this is related to this case. We know it is related to this case. Why? Because we have this thing up here called a brain, and we have this thing called common sense. And moreover, we have this thing called instinct. So for me, this absolutely goes with this case. This was absolutely in the middle of that time frame, and we absolutely see one light and one sole lone light go back in the direction of that home, and only one person ended up waking up inside that home the next morning reporting another individual missing. Is it related? You damn right it's related, in my opinion, without a doubt, in my opinion, and I am allowed and entitled to that opinion. I truly believe it's fact, not opinion, personally. But this is coming from people that live in that community. This is coming from people that have personally viewed video footage and information and have personal knowledge of what happened that morning between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. A 3-hour window. Something happened with lights going to an unknown car. Then you see the garbage truck come in. Then you see the bus come through. Very, very, very specific timing. And is this 3 a.m., a 3 to 4 a.m., the garbage truck? Absolutely not. Why? Because an hour and 43 minutes up to 2 hours later, the garbage truck actually comes through. I don't see a community needing the need of 2 garbage trucks coming into their community on Monday the 26th, which if it did happen, that would be odd in and of itself. Why do they need 2 trash pickups? Explain that to me. Anyways, guys, be back here noon to 2. We will finish this interview up as Delilah is waking up and she just wants to play at this point. Hi. Thanks for the kiss. Hi. She's ready to play. She's like, Mommy, I want you to play. I want you to play. She's full of energy today. She went to the vet. She finally got her vaccinations. She's got her parvo, distemperment, and her rabies shot, and she's been registered with Manatee County. Say, I am good to go. I am good to go. It was a little more costly than I expected to get her spayed and have her teeth removed and to get her microchipped. I'm not going to tell you guys the cost because you guys will, but she's worth every penny of it. To be a happy, healthy little, I know, you do be a, she brightens up my day. As you guys can see, this is what we do all day. I'm a big jungle gym for this pooch. I'm a big jungle gym for this pooch. I got you! I got you! I got you! She loves playing. What? What? You gonna get up here again? She likes to do this thing where she jumps up and then I throw her to her bed and she turns around and she jumps up again. Oh, except now she's nibbling on the toes. Now she's nibbling on the toes. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get up here. All right, there she is again. Now we're gonna throw her to her bed. Get out of here. Get out of here. And then she jumps up and we're like, no, let's throw you in the bed. Get out of here. Get out of here. I thought I was grabbing her butt and I was accidentally grabbed her face. See, I just love my mommy. She tastes so good. She tastes so good. She surely does brighten up my day. I gotta tell you, she's all right. She's full of energy today. You guys don't get to see her this animated, but she's been playing and having a good time. So, anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, let's be kind to one another. Let's bring humanity back to our kind, humans. Talk to you later. God bless.